Hi everyone, I'm Priscilla and you're watching Humanity Unlocked. This is my first podcast, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm a type of person who, whenever I meet somebody new, I tend to ask three basic questions. Questions that I find that you really get to know a lot about somebody from these questions, and I love hearing stories. I love listening to people's stories, and everyone always has something unique and interesting to bring to the table. I'm not really sure how I got the idea of asking the question. Maybe it was when I was in Katimavik, this youth volunteer program where I traveled around Canada to 3 different places and did volunteer work for nonprofit organizations. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I guess it was then, back in 2008, when I started asking people, have they ever been in a fight? And that was always my go-to question. And since then, my questions have now expanded into 3 questions. Have you ever been in a fight? What's the craziest thing that has happened to you? And what's the craziest thing that you've ever done in your life? So those are the 3 different questions that I'm going to talk about with my stories. Let's see. So the first one, have I ever been in a fight? I think everyone has been in a fight, and that's what most people say. I've actually been in a physical fight. It was very brief. It was also in my time in Katimavik. I was downstairs and one of the girls just started shoving my shoulder, and I was like, give it up, I don't want to fight you. Anyway, everyone else started gathering around, and I'm usually the shy, quiet, more timid kind of person. So this time I really felt like I should stand up for myself. I didn't want to back down from this. So anyway, so she started shoving my shoulder and I was like, I'm not getting a fight with you, I'm not. But she was really going at her. So anyway, I guess I stood my ground. I was like, no, I don't want to fight you, but she just kept pestering on and on, so we actually kind of started fighting. It didn't last long, like maybe 30 seconds. Like I said, there was the rest of the volunteers were kind of gathering around me watching this, so I guess I felt the need to fight for sure. I don't know, it was just kind of weird, Anyway, so, like I said, it happened like 30 seconds. It was really quick. I shoved her back and I said, stop it, I don't want to get in a fight with you. Anyway, so she starts fighting with me. So this is what I actually do. I quickly I trip her up and I grab her in this chokehold, and then I have her pretty much on the ground, and everybody was quiet because I'm a smaller girl. I'm only 5'2", and the other girl was taller and stronger than me, so everyone was just kind of shocked. And after 2 seconds of everyone being shocked and my heart was racing, the other girl actually bit me on the arm, and I was like, whoa, Anyway, everyone says I won that fight technically, even though she says she got me down afterwards. But we all kind of think biting somebody is, I don't know, that's lame, come on. Anyway, so that's my story about being in a fight. Let's see, my second question. What's the craziest thing that I've ever done in my life? I've done a lot of crazy things. My most recent one, actually, in the past year, I did comedy twice. I tried it. I'm not very good or anything like that, and I have so much more respect for comedians trying to come up with jokes and punchlines. It's actually very difficult, and to actually get the courage to just go up on stage and try out your jokes and see if they're any good. That takes so much courage. I have so much, respect for comedians. Actually, just a little heads up, my series for the next couple of podcasts is actually going to be with a bunch of comedians, so we're going to ask them those 3 questions. Okay, let's see, what was the third question? My third question was, what's the craziest thing that has happened to you? So for me, the craziest thing that has happened to me, it's over a year ago now, maybe even 2 years in December. I was hit by a car while I was walking. That was super crazy. My housemate and I, we were just we actually attended a swing dancing club downtown, and it was our friend's birthday party that night, so we wanted to leave the swing dancing early, so we left at 9:30. Wasn't even late on I think it was a Friday night. It was December 6th, 2014. No, sorry, December 6th, 2013. I remember a lot of details about it, which is kind of funny. So I'm really blessed that I wasn't hit on the head, and neither was my friend. Yeah, it was a really crazy night, and I like incorporating funny things with it because there's different funny things that have actually happened in that night. So anyway, we're crossing the street, and the guy that was making a left-hand turn, he had no signal, so for us to walk across, we had the right of way. Anyway, he didn't see us, so technically he could have turned. Anyway, so yeah, he drove into us, and he did stop when his wife noticed both of us. My first instinct was I didn't want my friend to get hit, so I tried to push her out of the way. We both ended up getting hit anyway. She ended up rolling more, which was better. I landed pretty much right in front of the car, and I landed on all fours there's a lot of pain in my wrists and my knees. My knees were like black, bruised afterwards. My friend was screaming, so what I did was I actually used all my strength. It was like adrenaline rush. I pushed myself off the ground. I went to her. She was about 3 feet away. I went over, and I asked if she was okay, and she said she stopped screaming, and she said she was fine, and I was like, okay, good. And then people started coming around. A hockey game actually just came out, so there's hundreds of people on one side of the road who probably saw that happen. So anyway, some people come over up to me, and they ask if I'm okay because they saw how, you know, like I got hit. Anyway, I sat down on the ground. I started feeling every single pain in my body, and it was really intense. So I start bawling and crying and screeching, and I kept saying, I can't feel my legs, I can't feel my legs, and it was just, it was so scary. I couldn't feel my legs at all, and I didn't know what was going on. I was just bawling, crying, and all the emergency, everybody was called. The firefighters showed up, the cops showed up, the ambulance were on the way. The firefighters were there first at the scene, I think. And so it was kind of funny. So I was crying at this point, and I look over, and there's a firefighter holding my friend's neck, and then there's a firefighter holding my neck, and I actually stopped crying for a few minutes because the firefighter that was holding my friend's neck was really attractive, and I like legit stopped crying and was like, oh, he's cute. And then I noticed the firefighter that was holding me, and he kept making jokes with me, which was really funny, which was great because it actually calmed me down because my mascara was just running all over my face, and it actually started raining at this point. So I'm lying down, and the rain is just hitting my face, and the firefighter kept apologizing because he had his helmet on, and the rain was just pouring down his helmet right onto my face. It was just pouring all over me, and he was like, I'm so sorry, and I was like, don't worry about it. I had been moving a lot, so they put my neck in a neck brace. They tied me down pretty much so I couldn't move because I was moving too much, and they didn't have a full assessment on me yet. Anyway, so the paramedics get there, and they start talking to me, and one of them was just really forceful, and I did not like that at all. I don't respond well to somebody being very forceful on me, so I just kept crying, and I was put into the ambulance, and then they had to cut up my pants and my tights, and I look up, and I was like, and the tights too? Like, it's really cold in Newfoundland. This is where the accident had actually happened. I'm living in Windsor right now, studying film. Anyway, okay, back to the story. So what happened, I was in the ambulance, and I was like, not my tights, they're brand new, I didn't want them to be cut, but you know, they had to cut it all. There's two paramedics the female was the one that was extremely forceful and telling me stop crying, and she was just yelling at me. And there was one time she peered into my face while I was strapped down, and she was just like, look at me, Priscilla, look at me. And I legit closed my eyes, and I was like, shut my eyes real tight, and I was like, I'm not talking to her. And in my head I was like, real mature Priscilla, come on, you know. Anyway, so the other paramedic was this really nice guy, and he came over and he was just like, I'm just gonna check your blood pressure, and he was like, what's the day today, what's your name, and asked me all these questions, and I answered every one of his questions. So the female paramedic switched her attitude, and she was totally nice to me, and she was making jokes and everything like that, and it made me feel so much more at ease. And then so the guy went and drove the ambulance to the hospital. And then so I just sat there talking with the female paramedic, and we found out we both like dogs. She had 2 beagles, and I used to have a beagle, so that was kind of cool. And then actually, like I said, my very first question to her was, has she ever been in a fight? So she told me that she was when she was little, she got chased by some bigger girls or whatever who wanted to fight her, and then she would run home. That was her fight story. So it can be anything, really. Anyway, so I get to the hospital. I'm still strapped down. So they wheel me into the emergency. And I'm just waiting there. I had to get a full body scan. Just a lot of different things. They had to just check for everything, I guess. I just remember they put all this cold stuff on my belly. And then I was asking the doctor, what's that for? And he said, oh, I'm checking to see if you have any liquids. And I was like, oh, I really have to pee. And he was like, I can see that. But yeah. Anyway, so after that, the paramedic came over to check to see how I was doing. And I was actually peeing in one of those containers because I'm still lying down, and it's really hard to pee lying down. Anyway, so I'm like peeing there, and I had the a blanket over me and stuff, and the paramedic was asking me how I'm doing, and I was like, I'm actually peeing right now, and she laughs, and she's like, I'm so sorry, and I was like, it's okay, like, this is a crazy night. I was just crying at random times. The nurse who was helping me out, she brought over a heating pad, because every time she touched me, I just started crying because her hands were so cold, so she brought over a heating pad, and she was like balancing out, like, I don't know, balancing it out, the heat and the cold, I guess. Yeah, so since I had no pants when they cut it up, they had to give me some scrubs. So the only scrubs they had were, I think it was a men's medium, so they were huge on me. Yeah, it was just so crazy. My friend was in a different room than me. She was fine. I was more in the emergency section. And actually, there was a guy next to me who had gotten hit by a car that same night as well, except his was more serious than mine. He was actually on a bicycle when he got hit. And, yeah, it was just a crazy night. Like, we weren't the only ones that got hit by a car. Another thing was, okay, so a cop came over to get my statement, so he was writing it all down, and I had to repeat a couple of things because he was kind of slow. He was printing everything. He was a young cop. There was 2 cops who were taking my statement. So he kept saying, like, I guess I kind of made him laugh a couple of times and stuff. I don't even know what I said. One of my friends who's a nurse at the hospital, she wasn't working that night, but she got in and she got to come into the emergency room with me, which only happens in Newfoundland. So she came in, and I was actually using her hands to describe the car accident and where I was, and I was using her hand as a car, and I was like, boom, I was like, and then we got hit, to the cop who was taking our statement, so he was just having a good chuckle at me. I don't know, like, and the other thing was I asked how the family was doing, the guy who got hit. I mean, the guy who was driving, and hit us. I asked how he was doing. The cop said they were okay, and he was just kind of surprised, like, why would I ask that? Yeah, anyway, they were fine, and I'm glad that they were, because, his wife, was actually in the hospital, and he just picked her up from surgery, and then I don't know, I just feel like there's one thing after another with everybody, right? We all have things that go on, and I was just really glad to hear that they were okay as well. So afterwards the cop was like, okay, if you need our statement, if you need anything, like, here's my number. I'm just gonna write it down next to my ID as for the cop or whatever. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, sure. So my mom takes the statement or the copy that the cop had written, and she gives it to me later on. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else happened. So they had a needle in me about like this big. I got my friend, well, like, so there's a needle like about this big, and then I had to get that taken out. I was in my scrubs, and the doctor said if I could walk out of here, then I can go home. So it was about a couple hours later. We got hit at 9:30. It was about 1 o'clock when we were released, I suppose. So I limped out of that hospital because I wanted to go home and I wanted to go to sleep and just sort out everything the next day. So anyway, the next day I tell my friend who also got hit by the car, like, we were talking about getting a lawyer if we needed one to just figure out all that paperwork stuff for us that we didn't have to do, right? So I was telling her how the cop gave his number, and my friend was like, no, he didn't. And I was like, no, we can contact the cop. He said he wrote his number down. I know for sure because I was lying there, and he was like, I'm gonna write my number down, and you know, give me a call if you need the statement, or I don't know, just that was what was in my head. I was thinking if I needed the statement later or whatever, I could get a copy of it. So anyway, she was like, well, it's not on her copy, and like she had the carbon copy. So I think like he handed her the carbon copy, and then he legit gave me his number. So I just want to say I got a cop's number, and I was wearing scrubs, and like my makeup was a mess, but I made him laugh. That's what the conclusion I've come to, is that he liked my personality. Anyway. So yeah, I couldn't walk for 2 weeks after that, and to get up and down the stairs, I had to sit on the bottom step and just kind of keep sitting up on the next step to get up the stairs, and I had to do the same thing to go down the stairs as well. I was limping everywhere. Yeah, so I'm obviously better, and I'm actually still healing from the car accident. I'm still getting like massage therapy and chiropractor to help with my back. I still get back pain now and then, but you know, it's been 2 years. I'm doing a lot better. I can finally do more physical activity, which is fantastic because it's really hard not to do any physical activity, especially when you're really used to it. I found that a very difficult thing, and it did depress me a little. Anyway, but yeah, I'm actually currently doing like a dance class right now. I'm not that good, but tell about that next time. Yeah, so what motivated me more so after the car accident was just to live life to the fullest and to pursue my passions with film and theater. And it motivated me to write a script. I wrote one in 2 weeks, and then I had a cast and a crew and auditions and everything. Unfortunately, that film did not get completed, but it was a really good experience, and I know for sure that this is something that I definitely want to do with my life. I feel very passionate about film and theater and writing and just that whole industry. So we'll see how it goes. We got a couple of comedians that I'll be interviewing with in the next couple of rounds. So yeah, so I'll see you next time. This is Humanity Unlocked.